Reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
You're logging into your favorite game, grinding out some gear. A couple of points added to your stats, and you have a virtual beer. Max level is pretty cool, but I'll remind you here, my friend. These games are not about the goal, it's about the journey and not the end.
You're listening to MMO Reporter, brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter. And by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapon with Doghouse Systems.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of MMO Reporter. This is episode 246. I'm Chris and I'm joined by the always so adorable Mr. Adorable himself. Hello, Bill.
I was trying to think of what adorable noise I could make, but there was nothing that wasn't going to come out anything other than creepy.
Bill, you're just adorable on your own.
Teehee.
That was creepy.
It was very creepy.
And of course, I would like to recognize the wonderful, the ever so comedic, and the person who lives in the country that is the first to officially recognize the blessings of his Noodly Appendage, Mr. Harry Hall. Now, did you get the reference, Harry?
The blessings of my Noodly Appendage?
No, of course not yours. It's not your Noodly Appendage that's bringing blessings. It's the flying spaghetti monster. Haven't you heard? Netherlands has officially recognized the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster as a religion.
Yeah, we are pastafarians at heart, all of us.
You are.
Yes.
It is wonderful, and I expect to see your next video with a official colander on your head.
I'm trying to get. I need a new passport anyway, so I'm going to try to get that.
Oh God, I want to see that picture. Whew, I did see the one with the driver's license that a few people had in the States. And got that done as religious headgear. But anyways, we are here. We are talking about MMOs. We've actually got a lot to talk about and even a full-on discussion topic to get going here. But as you were away last week, Harry, why don't you tell us what you've been doing since, 3 weeks ago? Because we skipped a week in gaming.
Well, actually a lot, and not just gaming. My little stand-up stint is actually taking me in weird directions because I participate in a competition, and the main prize is a spot on the International Comedy Festival in Utrecht, which is one of the major cities in the Netherlands. And it's a very big festival. And I entered this competition with the idea of I will just have a spot to play in the first round, some experience.
Right.
I won the first round.
Well done, sir.
Which is ridiculous.
Bravo.
The setup was you had 16 comedians, of which 4 would go to the next 5 would go to the next round.
Right.
And I was one of those 5, but not only that, I had the most votes from the audience, which was ridiculous.
That's great.
It was my 6th time performing stand-up. So I was kind of blown away. I didn't expect it at all. But that kind of laughter.
Yeah.
And exactly the same laughter, and then starting it at peak, not building it up like, and stop. That's the actual Scooby-Doo laugh track is what they used when I was doing. But it was actually a lot of fun, and I'm now playing a lot of more stand-up, so I'm happy with that.
That's fantastic. Hey,
Excellent.
I also want to mention I also liked this really cool page on Facebook for a comedian. I don't know if you've heard of him, Bill. He's Harry Hall.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's a little too edgy for me.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I need some Gallagher in my life.
That's true. Yeah. Little squash watermelon never hurt anyone except for the front row.
Yeah,
I'll give it a try. Sure.
I'm the cutting edge from a very blunt
Everyone go
blade.
like Harry's Facebook page, his comedian page. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway, so and then I got sick and I didn't do anything anymore because I had a terrible case of the flu. So I didn't really play many games. I did get some Elite Dangerous time in, and I was part of the big barnacle hunt. And I don't know if you've seen the story, which is very interesting. Frontier is now working on their second expansion season, Horizons, and not only is this a feature update, but they've incorporated a little. They've incorporated a story in it, and not in the traditional sense of there is this quest that you follow and then stuff happens. They're seeding the game with little hints, which started with alien artifacts that were discovered floating in space that sent out signals. Players have been decoding that signal and found out that it was actually an image of the ship that they were currently flying that was sent in a certain direction, was sent to a star called, I don't know how you pronounce it in English, Merope, one of the seven sisters in the Pleiades star system, or what's it called?
Yes.
Constellation?
Yeah, constellation. Sorry, that was the word. So they were sending it to there, and people were hunting for more clues. And I've been in that constellation, which is gorgeous, by the way, because it's a stellar nursery with a lot of clouds and young stars, and so it's a very fun place to do some exploration. I didn't find anything, but somebody did, and on one of the planets they actually found they're calling it barnacles now, which are kind of semi-organic metallic alien growths that they light up in the night. And so the cool thing about this is this story is actually proceeding due to player exploration and discovery. And
That
one
is
of the
cool.
and one of the things that I'm a bit worried about is the developer said we might introduce alien life in the game at some point. Well, this is probably that point. And they've stated that the way people behave towards this alien encounter will determine the way the aliens will act with the humans. The first thing people did when they found the barnacles was try to blow them up.
Oh, I want to be surprised, Harry. I really want to be surprised. I'm not in the slightest.
I'm actually, this is... And
See,
what worries me is this is what would happen.
Yeah.
The first thing, when humans see something shiny, they shoot it.
See, I'm wondering, I'd like to know the first person that pulled the trigger, what their intentions were precisely. If they were thinking, oh, good, what this game needs is hostile aliens, and was basically just trying to begin the War of the Worlds with only the intention of improving the game, or if it was just somebody with like drool coming out of the left side of their mouth saying, "Explosion."
Well, actually, my theory is not only human nature, but also there aren't any other ways of interacting with your environment than with your guns.
Well, you've got scanners too.
Whoa, what?
Scanners are bound to the exact same button as your guns. I guess it could have been an accident.
Could very well have been.
Yeah, but you're not. I mean, okay, you've scanned it. Nothing happens. You're sitting there. You're looking at those barnacles. What other tools do I have at my disposal? Tricorders? No. Can I walk towards them? No. I have guns. I'll use my guns.
That sounds perfectly reasonable.
So the game was kind of built for it, is what you're saying.
I'm saying they put a loaded gun in the hands of some anonymous internet person, dropped it next to something interesting, and they're surprised they're actually pulling the trigger.
So, what's going to happen is going to be based on how you react. So here's some dynamite, and there's a hole.
Exactly. The only thing you give someone is when the only thing in a toolbox is a bunch of hammers. What do you expect's going to happen?
Exactly.
You're get screwed.
That's my favorite saying. When you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I use that for everything. It's a fantastic saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I've been playing Elite Dangerous, trying to find the barnacles, not found them yet, and I got sick just at the point that they've been discovered. So I haven't actually done my little pilgrimage to the discovery, but I'm following it on the subreddit. And by the way, the community for Elite Dangerous is wonderful.
Mhm.
I mean, it's mature, intelligent, interesting people who are playing a game that I like. I mean, what's not to love about that?
Yeah.
There is some whining, but they're usually wrong, so that doesn't matter.
Well, and there's always going to be a little bit of whining, but even the whining is a little bit. It's couched with reason.
Yeah,
And the responses to the whining still have a nugget of reason to them, and that's what you don't see. And I think it all comes down actually to the nature of the game. The game is so complex that anybody who would just type a 3-line post that says this game sucks, go kill yourself, that doesn't really, the game doesn't really engender itself to that type of person. That if your attention span is so short that you can't get past figuring out the first 3 buttons of piloting your ship, then well, all right, audience selected.
So, the game is not without fault, but it is so good. It is actually what I wanted EVE Online to be all the time. It has all the things that I like about EVE Online without some of the stress or the long stretches of boredom that EVE is known for. Even if you're having fun in EVE, there's always a long period of time that you're basically just staring at the screen doing nothing. And in Elite Dangerous, at least you can blow shit up. Sorry for the word. I'm kind of out of it. I've also tried Star Citizen, by the way.
Oh,
yeah,
finally.
Well, the thing
Somebody.
is, I needed to. I'm writing some articles about space games, so I had to take the dive and buy one of the Star Citizen packages, which is wholly against my principles because I don't do pre-orders. But this is work, so I had to. So it's tax deductible for me. So but the game doesn't work on my PC, which is very frustrating. I could actually, you have a hangar and you can watch the ship you've bought. You cannot do anything. Just get in and look at the pretty knobs, and that's it. And there is this universe part, which is what they say is similar to Elite, that you have this open galaxy with planets and stuff, and it doesn't load. I can't get it to run. And there was this little tutorial, and the frame rate was slideshow. And I'm not exaggerating. There was this you learn to fly with an NPC that's giving you instructions, which on paper is a cool way of learning the mechanics, but it just doesn't work. I've been staring at a screen that's been chopping at a frame every 3-4 seconds.
Well, but remember, it is alpha still. Give it the benefit of the doubt.
I'm not giving it the benefit of any doubt. This is crap.
And Elite Dangerous was the same. If you remember, when I first played the Elite Dangerous beta on Xbox One, it was crap when I got anywhere near a sun with or without other ships. And then when I got to stations with other ships, it was a slideshow there as well. And now it's smooth as butter. It is absolutely fantastic.
But there is a difference.
It's Star Citizen, I know.
No, first, I was actually in the alpha of Elite Dangerous when they had nothing more than like 4 or 5 stars. That was it. I'm not comparing them because that's apples to oranges. That just doesn't work. But if you're saying Xbox One, I know they could optimize it because that was the box they were working with. And I had no doubt that they could fix that problem. I'm more worried about Star Citizen because they're doing this for PC and they're aiming for extremely high specs. And my PC is just not up to it, I think, anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a problem. I think you need an Oculus-ready PC just to be able to play Star Citizen without an Oculus.
You know, I think this is the first time we're getting to a point, a generational shift in gaming, where it is getting to the point where a lot of us who have had computers for the same computers for 3 or 4 years are now get it where before, you know, for a while in the early 2000s, you had to update regularly, like full on shift because it was just going that fast. But for a while here, it just it felt like it slowed down to me. Like it didn't need that constant refresh of your system, and now it feels like this is coming to bite us in the ass.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're getting it. There's a big industry push. I mean, when you look at the hardware, especially around VR and that kind of thing, that's a huge hardware push. And I think games are probably starting to pick up on that. There's that we've plateaued for a long time, and they're not so afraid to push the envelope because there's a lot of other things starting to push the envelope as well.
Right.
So I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see a bit of a spike in hardware requirements and how hard software is pushing the hardware, and it'll plateau again, and the cycle will continue, and it'll be a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
I agree.
Right after I get my 34-inch Acer Predator, then it'll be especially beautiful.
I gotta say, I like my BenQ XR3501 ultra widescreen curved monitor that I'm reviewing right now. It is absolutely glorious.
If your theory is if you mention it a lot, maybe you can keep it.
You know what? Maybe if I beg enough and drool.
Every mention buys him another week.
No, they sent me the return packing slip. So,
So the final game I've been playing is The Witness, which is the Jonathan Blow puzzle game. Not the sequel, but the follow-up to Braid, if you remember that one. And The Witness is a 3D exploration game. It's very pretty. It's on PC and on PlayStation 4. It's not on the Xbox. And what you do is you wander around a deserted island, and there are maze-like puzzles on displays. And this sounds very simple, and at first it is. You have to draw a line from a starting point to an ending point, and that's it. But the further you get, the more complicated the mazes become. New symbols are introduced, and at a certain point, the environment is actually a clue to how to solve the puzzles. So you have to look at trees or clouds or rocks or things around you to figure out the pattern that you have to follow. And it's a very clever. It's in the vein of Talos Principle and of Cube and of Portal. It's one of those games that you just, if you solve the puzzle, if you don't solve the puzzle, you feel incredibly stupid and frustrated. And once you've solved it, you feel like the cleverest person in the world. and I'm not saying it's the greatest game ever, because it's definitely not. It's just a very good puzzle game.
How does it look? Because I'm showing the chat room and our video viewers a video of it now, PS4 gameplay, and it seems like there's a little bit of frame rate chunkiness.
No, not at all. Buttery smooth.
So it might just be the YouTube video.
Yeah, I've seen very rare instances of screen tearing, but that's usually a sign that the frame rate is a little too high.
Yeah,
because it can't get up. But it's I've not had any slideshow moments. It's just a very smooth experience. Plays wonderfully with the controller. You need to like puzzles.
Right.
I mean, you're not going to shoot stuff.
This is not a game for me, is what you're saying.
I don't know. Do you like Portal?
I do, but not. I don't look at this and say, "Ooh, I want to do this." I look at Portal. I'm like, "Yeah, that looks like fun." So it's different to me.
Yeah, but it's what I said. You need to like the feeling. I mean, I have this with the Professor Layton games on the 3DS as well. I'm not fanatical about it, but I like the sense of, I saw something that I didn't see before.
Yeah.
So it's worth. I mean, I wouldn't go for it at the full price. Maybe when it's down a notch, or perhaps when it's in PlayStation Plus one day. But it's good. It's fun. So that was my week in gaming.
Awesome. All right, Bill. What about you?
Well, for me, believe it or not, I played Guild Wars 2.
You did not.
I did, but it was special this week because the big winter update actually hit and made all kinds of big changes to the game, class balance. They redid the Shatterer. And for those of you that anyone who actually has a history with Guild Wars 2, like the Shatterer is one of the very earliest events that they ever produced for Guild Wars 2. I think we talked about this actually a couple of weeks ago.
I don't remember. Explain to me, because even though I have very much history with Guild Wars 2, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, goody. I love this. Get ready. Okay, so the Shatterer is
Sorry,
over
I'm gonna go get a drink.
the Shatterer is over in kind of the Char area. He is the champion of the dragon Kralkatorrik, and that whole area is kind of this scarred desert that has the big purpley crystals all over it.
Yeah, I
and
know that. The Dragon Brand, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the Shatterer is. It's a dragon with big crystals coming over it. It's gigantic. It's the biggest mob in the whole game, I'm pretty sure. Like, it's at least as large as Tequatl, maybe a little bit bigger. For years, like when the game was announced, that looked like an amazing fight. That was their demo. They had people in there. It was an impossible fight. The only way it ever worked is if you had a ton of people working in concert and avoiding all the attacks and that kind of thing. And it just looked epic and amazing. And then the game released, and that event got kind of filtered down to this procedural thing where everybody found the secret spot to stand and just did range attacks for 5 minutes until the boss died, without any danger or anything like that.
And don't forget, they blinded the boss too.
Yeah, I didn't even know that actually worked. I was so busy standing in the safe zone that I didn't even know that he was also blind. So that's basically what this fight was, and it was just boring. So what they did with this patch is they redid that fight, not quite completely, but significant changes. They took away all the exploits. Like there's no real safe spot, or at least I haven't identified the safe spot yet or anything like that. They've added a few new mechanics like dive bombing, because now you can glide in the entire world of Tyria, which is really cool, by the way. But when you glide in the Shatterer area, they have a little launcher that throws you up in the air, and you glide down and you throw bombs down on the Shatterer.
Oh, wow.
But he then attacks you with lightning attacks in the sky. So you have to dodge these lightning attacks, or you get stunned and dropped to the ground for insta splatter death. So if you actually want to do that, it's good, because you can actually do really good damage and you can heal the people on the ground with these bombs, but you're easily in the most danger of anybody in the entire fight by doing that. So it's a nice little balance. So anyway, the fight was interesting. It's not the hardest fight in the game. They didn't give it the same treatment that they gave to Tequatl, or when they added the triple worm fight or anything like that. Like, this isn't one of those bosses that you need to have a completely organized map with everybody doing exactly the right thing at the exact same time. But the fight is now at least challenging for a random Zerg, where you don't just have a thing that you do and go AFK for 5 minutes and come back and collect your loot. You have to pay attention, you have to do things, and you have to avoid dying.
That's no fun.
Kind of makes you think, like, that's kind of like the minimum requirement of a semi-interesting encounter, which is exactly what it is. And to be fair, that's also the expectations they set. They said that this is a world boss in a level 40 to 50 zone. So what do you think it's going to be like? And that's what it is. So I like it. I think they actually did a pretty decent job with that.
Sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm. And 100 other things. You can check out the show notes from last week if you want to see the full patch notes that we're going to go in and everything like that.
I'm actually patching as we speak. I just started out my PC. I'm patching the game because now I need to play some Guild Wars 2 again.
We lost them.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, Harry. It's been wonderful talking to you again, and we'll speak next week.
Lots of neat class balance in there too. By the way, most of the classes got a little bit of a bump, unless you're a Revenant, in which case, welcome back to Earth.
So before I
what
say
a surprise,
that we need to
a
move
new
along,
class.
Can I mention that we've been going at the show for shortly just over 20 minutes now, and we have yet to get to the first news story, so maybe we could move things along.
But Bill was talking about Guild Wars 2, damn it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. This is important stuff, Chris.
Yes.
And actually, when you look at some of the news stories we got coming up, Chris, this is the important news of the week. So anyway, okay, I will move on from Guild Wars. I played a little more Rocket League. That's really quickly becoming my little 15-minute filler game to pop in and play a couple of season games and that kind of thing. I'm almost getting good enough where I actually will consider jumping on and playing an online game and seeing what happens.
You haven't played it online yet?
Not even once. I'm terrified. Terrified.
It's the one of the... Okay.
Someone on Steam is going to yell at me, and it's going to hurt my feeling, and it's going to just... Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I played it on the PlayStation
I
4. You should just definitely go play it online because it's
okay.
just freaking amazing. The only way to actually learn this game is by the
Give
AI
it up.
will
Give it
not
up,
prepare.
Harry. Give it up.
Sorry. Okay.
Just don't bother.
Yeah.
You were not prepared.
This is I am not. This is a Bill thing. This isn't a Rocket League thing. So I'll get there, and it'll be an amazing story when I tell it. Speaking of an amazing story being told, I played King's Quest. Actually, I sat down and played with my kids, and they were just enthralled.
It's a
I was
good
so happy.
story.
It's a good story that nods very nicely back to the old Sierra days without pandering, I thought, and I loved it. The kids were it was for them. It was better than watching a movie because they all took a turn with the controller. They all picked the next moves. They all laughed when they deliberately picked the wrong choice and got the joke on the screen and everything like that. Like it's a perfect family game. Like we've had a lot of fun with that. So that's been good.
And it's got a touch of Princess Bride to it, doesn't it?
Yeah. A little bit of cheekiness to it. We didn't get very far because, as you can imagine, with 3 kids driving the game, you can only make so much progress so fast. But it's worth it. I've been sitting on this game for probably 6 months now, waiting for an opportunity to play like that, and we're finally getting a little bit of time and just loving it. So that's very cool.
You play on the PlayStation 4?
Nope, Steam.
Oh, okay.
Streaming it over just Steam streaming. I need a new streamer. I've got my old home theater PC, which is this terrible old integrated AMD chipset thing that's just crawls. I'm thinking of buying a Steam Link to see if that's actually going to improve the experience because it's pretty blocky the way it is, but still worth playing, but not.
Apparently, the new Apple TV has a app that you can sideload that works just like the Steam Link.
Oh yeah,
really?
Yeah, it's not officially official, but it's not illegal either. It's just something you need to sideload onto your Apple TV.
And then, what about controller support?
Yeah, it's just there. You can just play with a regular controller via. I don't know exactly what it works.
Oh wow!
I was going to say they have
it to work. Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty fantastic.
Because there's no USB on an Apple TV, is there?
No, but I don't know exactly what the setup was, but it does work. But you do some Googling, some Google foo, and you'll probably find it.
Awesome. That's a good reason to get an Apple TV right there.
Yeah, but first Google it. Don't buy one and then go complain to me that it doesn't work.
And then, anyway, moving on from that, I'll kick off the Google foo for the Apple TV Steam Link. The final game I played this week, though, was I did jump into Elite Dangerous, actually for the first time in ages. And I had my first Horizons experience. And when I say my first Horizons experience, and I haven't played Elite Dangerous in ages, basically I spent 3 hours reconfiguring my controllers and reminding myself how to play. And I'm not even complaining. I actually like it. I'm still loving the fact that Elite Dangerous is this complex game that requires a whole bunch of different actions, and you have to understand your ship and your controller and the condition of your ship and the environment, and now and then adding the whole new piece of having a planetary vehicle to drive around with, and that, which is a completely different experience than flying your ship. It's just enthralling, and I just loved it. Frame rates just were murdered though on the planet surface. Oh yeah, it was very spiky. I found and it wasn't even near like the planetary station that I'd landed near or anything like that. It was off in the middle of the flipping desert. All of a sudden, everything would just slideshow like 2 or 3 frames a second or something like that. And then after 2 minutes or so, it would clear up and it would be smooth again. So I tried killing everything in the background and doing my tech support foo and everything like that. And that I didn't quite figure it out, but it's the first game that my GeForce 680 has ever really stuttered and suffered on. So now I need a new computer.
I actually had that. I didn't have that problem at all. That's the frustrating thing, that Elite Dangerous on high settings, some even at the ultra range, works perfectly well on my PC, and Star Citizen doesn't. So I don't think the PC on my end is a problem. On your end, I think, because if you have
because it's mine.
Well, yeah, it's your PC. No, but your frame rate dropping on the planets is something I'm kind of surprised. It's the first time I've heard about that.
I'm hoping it was bad luck. I'll give it a try again, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm ready for a new computer anyway. So
yeah, okay.
I think we're all ready for new computers, at least our PCs.
my body is ready. Yeah.
All right.
my body is ready. My wallet is not. Let her rip, Chris.
I'm going to fly through what I've played. Finished Last of Us finally. Finally finished Last of Us. And I'm not ashamed in any way to say that I cried.
Aw, I haven't finished it yet, so no spoilers,
3 times. Well, you played the start, the beginning, and the opening, about halfway through, and then I stayed up till like 3:34 in the morning at one point because I had to finish that part. And it was, I'll say this, it was the paternal instinct in me that would not let me go to sleep. I had to finish it. I had to. And it wouldn't have mattered if I was working the next day. It was one of those things where I just had to get it done. The story grabbed me that much. And it's funny because I started playing it, when I got the console a year ago. And I just never got past a certain part. And then I started playing it when I was sick here, and within 3 days I was done. Like, boom, done. Because it clicked. Finally it clicked. And I really enjoyed it. Harry, we have to play some Star Wars Battlefront together because I'm enjoying the crap out of that game.
I'm already past that, but I will reinstall it. I don't mind.
Thank you. We have to do it because it'd be fun.
Yeah, I think it is fun again after some break time. I played the hell out of the beta. Yeah. And I think I played 20 hours of the beta on the Hoth battle, and after that, playing the full game turned out to be exactly like the beta and nothing else. So I was kind of done with it. Yeah. But I hear they've done some balancing and some map updates, so I'll reinstall it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And now
PlayStation 4 we're talking about, right?
Yes, and now that I'm off work still for several more weeks, I can stream at a time that works for you. Or play with you. We don't have to stream, but we could.
Sure.
But I can do it at a time that works for you. It doesn't have to be some funky time. Me late, you early, whatever.
Yeah.
And then what's been taking up most of my time is Blade and Soul. And I would love for both of you to install it and try it out and play it with me because I'm clicking with it. I don't know why, because it is old school theme park, like Quest Hub, bunch of quests, Quest Hub, bunch of quests, but it's done really, really well. Just going through the leveling experience, and there's 2 parts to this. Going through the leveling experience, great. Story is cliched, corny, loving it. And you know how sometimes something can be cliche? It's like watching a Jackie Chan movie. You know what's going to happen the minute it starts, but you love watching it. You love the experience, and that's what's happening with this game. I'm playing a completely different class. I'm playing the Summoner, which is the little ranged DPS class with a little cat pet familiar, and it's completely different, and I'm really, really enjoying it. The combat feels new. The game feels old, but really, really well done. And what I really like most about the questing, and you will appreciate this having wowed and rifted and all those old school theme park ever quested to your heart's content, very rarely am I going back to somewhere that I just went. I don't go out, kill 10 of these things, go back, hand in the quest, then go back out to kill the boss of those 10 things in the exact same spot that I killed by chance when I was killing the 10 things. It only sends you places once, which is really cool. That being said, there is a ton of grinding for your gear, for stuff like that, for upgrading your gear, because you have to get specific things. And it looks like, from the research I've done, I'm about 3/4 of the way to endgame. It's grindy as crap when you get to endgame. Like, it's from Korea originally. That should tell you a lot about. But I'm surprised that the leveling experience is so ungrindy. So that's been incredibly pleasant and wonderful. So there you go. Have I convinced either of you?
I actually
Well-
have it installed.
Hey.
Like I said last time we talked, I said, okay, I'm going to give it a try, and I tried to install it, and that's about as far as I got.
There
I,
you
I will
go.
give it a try if I have time in the coming month, but I have so much to do on the gaming front. Games to review, games to play. And this is not one of the games that is actually jumping out at me.
Well,
Maybe
it
I should
be.
just watch a video of it, and maybe I'll just...
I've got a video coming out soon. I'm gonna finish editing it tomorrow. So there you go.
Okay,
That's
awesome.
my first impressions video. So there you go. That is everything that we have been doing in game. I'm gonna rush through this here. Thanks to our 30 patrons. You are fantastic people. Sorry, just saying Bahamutra blah 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 blah. Sorry if I butchered your name in the chat room. And he says he's tried Blade and Soul only about level 8 on Force Master. But it's fun. It's fun, and I'm sorry about your name. I apologize. Want to mention our 30 patrons. You are fantastic, wonderful, awesome people, and thank you very much. If all of you want to support what we do here, then you need to go check us out at patreon.com/MMO Reporter. All the support that you gives us means we can do more of what you already like. You like what we're doing so far? We want to do more, but we need your help to make it happen. So go check it out, patreon.com/MMO Reporter.
To talk to you and make you understand. You can't out-threat the tank and just pew pew and think you'll last the fight.
So, in news, there's actually a new game coming out, believe it or not. Something that's almost MMO-ish. It's not something we actually hear a lot about these days, but Funcom has dropped the announcement for a new game coming out they're making called Conan Exiles. It's an open world survival game, which probably just put about half of you to sleep there, but stick with it. This is interesting. It's set in the Hyboria universe and that kind of thing. There's a bunch of interesting stuff about this. We don't know a lot about the game yet or anything like that, other than it's got a fancy, well-rendered trailer, I guess. But what I'm finding curious, there's a bunch of different things going on here. One, it's Funcom, and Funcom is, of course, the company that runs Age of Conan, which is also a massive game that is based in the world of Hyboria, and it's curious that they're taking a second run at the same IP. So we've got that going on. It's a curious mix. It's not a complete MMO in that it's all curated servers that are just run by Funcom. There are public or private server options. There's also single player options to the game, and yeah. So, what did you guys think? Have you had a chance to view the trailer yet?
Yeah, the announcement really makes it feel like this is going to be Arc Conan Edition. Right? Like that's kind of what it seems like they're selling it at. What do you think?
That's what I picked up. It is, and I mean, sadly, it seems like they're saying that yes, we're doing what everyone else is doing, except it's with Conan.
Mm-hmm. Harry, what do you think?
I think it makes sense for them to do something in the universe they know, and I am curious about it. I like the idea. I like the universe, by the way. The Robert E. Howard stories are great, and I can understand the appeal of it. And as far as I know, the Conan IP is actually in the public domain. So, again,
really?
That makes sense for them. I think there is some, I need to wiki that to make absolutely sure, but I think...
I like the tagline: survive, build, dominate.
Does it get any more manly?
Who will you be? A warrior, a hunter, a builder, or a king?
But is there any information about? Is this going to be a box copy in the game?
Nope.
Somebody. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Anything that you ask about information, I'm just going to say nope because there is none. This is all we got. You look at the press release, which we'll have in the show notes. It's mostly quotes from the developers.
Mm-hmm. There's a few screenshots, I think.
There's one pre-alpha screenshot. There is one on the website. I showed it here. There's one pre-alpha screenshot, 2 pre-alpha screenshots, sorry, and 1 production art.
I hope this is going to be on consoles as well. I think games like these should be on consoles.
I believe it will be. Right, Bill? Isn't that in the press release?
Yeah, no.
Oh,
but...
okay. Oh, no, it was another game that was on consoles. Sorry.
Yeah. No, we don't know. We could hope. Hope is important.
Hope
we just
is
assume.
important.
Arc is
Basically.
making the transition to consoles, right?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
So there you
they
go.
should. They've actually done quite well. No, I think this is actually an interesting move on Funcom. Like, this isn't even unprecedented for Funcom because they've done a few little genre bending of their MMO IPs recently, because they did that with the park. They released that standalone adventure based on the Secret World Zone, and that's. Well, it happened. I don't think it was a massive failure or anything. Everything I've read said that it was actually a pretty decent. It wasn't even I mean, it's technically a game, but it was pretty short as far as I heard. It was more like an adventure rather than a full game, but still an interesting departure there. And now they've got 2 different. Slightly different styled games in the same universe. Like, they're basically taking what they know about the Conan IP and genre bending it a little bit. Sorry to use the phrase twice, but that's sort of what I see this going. So it's actually kind of an interesting take on it. Like, I wonder how many companies would actually take the IP that they have and really run with it in 2 completely separate directions.
I do. It's kind of like what CCP is doing with Valkyrie and Eve.
Yeah.
Right.
And I like the way I like that. I mean, if you're invested in a universe and you like it, why should it be limited to one type of thing?
Mm-hmm. And this is set up in a way too where you're probably going to capture a lot of the people who were interested in Age of Conan, but you're not going to limit yourself to it either, because it's not like one needs to be the precedent for the other.
Well, and it's neighbor genres, right? There's if this was a Venn diagram, they'd be overlapping a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, I mean, there's no law that says if you've made your fortune with an MMO that you have to make MMOs after that.
Well, just saw the new announcement from Frontier that Roller Coaster World or whatever Roller Coaster Tycoon World was coming along nicely. So there's very different games right there.
But they've been doing those games for ages.
I
by
know,
the way,
but that's proving your point, right? You don't just because you're an MMO developer doesn't mean you have to be only an MMO developer.
Do you consider Elite Dangerous a full MMO?
Yeah, you know what? It's MMO-ish. There's so many. I find that there's enough persistence in the. To me, the MMO part is definitely the persistence in the world. That's a big part of it for me. And Elite Dangerous has that in spades on the online version.
Yeah, and you the fact that you have one character and you have to deal with that. There are no save games, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah. That nudges it into the MMO space.
Yeah. Okay. Harry, have you looked at this ESO Thieves Guild?
Actually, I did. Yeah, I've actually recently I'm doing an email interview with Matt Firer.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how to. I'm sorry if I pronounce your name terribly, but so I'm waiting on the on the answers for that. So, but that was partly about the Thieves Guild. One of the things they're going to be doing is, and this kind of blows my mind. They've laid out their path for the coming year for Elder Scrolls Online. The Thieves Guild is going to be this big DLC package, which introduces obviously the Thieves Guild and an entire storyline and skills and quests, which is a fun thing to do. But the main thing that I'm looking forward to is they're going to focus on social play in the coming year. So they're going to make it easier for people to play together and have a more social MMO experience. And my question would be, why the hell didn't you start out with that?
I knew the minute this story came onto the show notes doc that there would be some yelling from you, Harry. Because every time we talk about ESO, and I think it's your pent up disappointment in your initial experiences with the game coming out every time that we talk about the game.
Yeah, well, that is very, very true. I must say, and I've been doing some reading on this expansion and on their path for 2016, and I must say I am more interested in it again because they've done a lot of tweaking to bring the game more into its own. It used to be a game in conflict with itself. Did it want to be a single-player Elder Scrolls experience, or did it want to be a clone of World of Warcraft? And I find that the things they're changing now, for example, they've added a lot of zones that are scaling to your character level, kind of Guild Wars 2 style.
Yeah.
So that makes it easier for people to enjoy that content and to group up and play with other players. Things like that kind of takes it out of this WoW hold and makes it more its own game. And the more they do that, the more interested I'm in it. So I've actually reinstalled it on my PlayStation 4.
Oh, wrong console, dude.
No,
Sorry.
no. This is exactly the
Did
right
I say
console.
that out loud?
Yes,
sorry.
yes. Yeah, inside voice, outside voice, Chris.
Right.
No, but I was actually... I'm actually willing to give it another go now that I've seen what they've planned to do. No word yet on player housing, even though they've said they're going to do that. Spellcrafting, they had plans in the system for spellcrafting. They've parked that as well because they probably didn't find a way to balance that. And, well, yeah, there you have it. Thieves Guild is going to introduce lots of stuff with thieves and quests.
Your
They're also gonna do
description is very evocative.
Well, they're going to do a Dark Brotherhood as well, and it was the Assassin's Guild in the Elder Scrolls Guild, and that's going to be the next DLC. And after that, we're still in the dark. But it's a lot of stuff, a lot of fun stuff coming our way.
Good job, ZeniMax, on getting some good content out there. I need to look into what the community thinks about the release timeline. Like if they're feeling satisfied with the release schedule. I can already tell you that it's going to be some no, some yes, and some people saying what releases. Sorry,
but don't you, just to get back to my yelling, you guys, don't you kind of agree that it's kind of odd that more than a year into the existence of an MMO, after going actually essentially buy to play, ditching the subscription,
right,
and now they're actually scratching behind the ears like, how can we make this an MMO? Isn't this kind of weird? I mean, don't you, if you make an online game, don't you start out with how can we capitalize on the fact that people play together?
But they're expanding on what they've already got. They didn't say they're going to start. You're saying like, well, they finally decided to actually look at any ways for players to play together. Well, no, they actually, we played together all the way back in pre-alpha when I went to ZeniMax Studios. I saw other players. Right, and we did anchors and stuff like that together.
But they were annoying as hell.
Correct, but you can't frame it like, well, oh look, they're finally looking to add something that interacts with other players. They're just finally looking at making it good.
They're trying, but isn't that the same thing?
No, they tried and failed. You're making it sound like they never tried.
I'm designing pants, and there are allergens and painful spikes in it but there are pants, aren't they? But
yes.
So you are wearing pants, so don't complain.
Pants. Yoga pants are not pants.
The thing is,
leggings are not pants either.
I find it very interesting that they didn't start out on the drawing board with how can we make this fun for groups and for. This is still why Guild Wars 2 is king for me. They nailed it. There is no reason to be annoyed when other people show up. You are always happy when other players are in the area. Oh, thank God, other players. I've never said that in Elder Scrolls. I've never said it in WoW. I've never said in World of Warcraft, thank God there are other people in this game with me.
You didn't do many dungeons or raids.
Have you done any Dungeons and Raids and thought to yourself, "Wow, I'm so glad these random people are telling me how wrong I am and why my existence is null"?
I've had a lot of fun in WoW dungeons. What are you talking about?
Are you on painkillers right now, Chris? What kind of medication are you on at the moment? Because I think you are like looking at this with some very chemically tinted glasses.
You know what I would like to see, and someday it's going to happen. WoW dungeons where the other humans are replaced with bots. And
I'm sure
honestly
I've done some that have been bots.
I'm sure, and you didn't even notice, and you probably didn't even hate it. In fact, you probably enjoyed the silence.
You're making my stomach hurt.
Actually, you know what would actually improve it if my character was a bot as well, and I could just ignore the whole thing.
You know, it's against the terms of service, but there are software solutions to that problem, Harry.
So,
all right, we're going to talk about our sponsors before they ditch us. All right, let's talk about, first of all, our very good friends over at Audible. Go to audiblepodcast.com/MMO Reporter and sign up, like I have, for an Audible podcast subscription where you can get yourself one free audiobook per month. It helps me pass the time as I do things where my hands are busy. Maybe, you know what? I was listening to an audiobook with Elite Dangerous on my Xbox a while back.
There's actually an Elite Dangerous audiobook just recently released.
Oh, really?
A licensed novel, so
Nice.
they have the blessing of Frontier, and I'm actually reviewing it for a gaming website, so I'm listening to it. Not at this moment, but I'm listening to it. It is fun. It's one of those audiobooks where not only does the reader actually do characters and play the different parts, but with sound effects and music to enhance. It's more like a radio, almost an audio drama.
Wow.
And I love those.
Here we go. Let's listen to a sample of it.
Angel rebooted the nav panel as she watched the riveted maw of the space station hurtling towards her through the heads-up display. "Hope don't fail me now," she said through gritted teeth, as she grappled with the roll and yaw levers, scissoring them apart at the same time as pumping on alternate.
So there's actually several here that
which one are you? Because this is not the one that I'm listening to.
Elite, Mostly Harmless, Elite Dangerous. This is Elite Reclamation.
One day, the Tantalite will be exhausted. Then things will change.
That's the one I'm listening to.
So. If all went well, things would change far sooner than that.
So yeah, that sounds fantastic. That might be my next book that I get. But I do, because you know, when I'm doing long haul travels, when I'm working for my faction or something like that on Elite with Xbox One, that's a lot of jumps, and that can get a little boring. And so that's a great way to pass the time. Although they need to have it for the PC version in the game where you can play some sort of extra, and then have a little bit of tinny speaker sound just to make it ambient.
I've seen threads on Reddit like, why can't I play my own music in Elite? You can, because you can use Spotify or iTunes or VLC. You're on a computer, dude.
Yeah, make it work. Okay, and then last... sorry.
Before we jump away from that, we're going to add a quick link to the show notes. The Wikia site for Elite Dangerous has a nice little list of all the different novels that are set in the Elite Dangerous universe. We posted that. There's like 8 of them, 9 of them, more.
Very cool.
Wow. That's awesome.
There's a lot.
And speaking of getting new PCs, go to our friends over at Doghouse, use the coupon code MMO Reporter, and you can add a free 120 gig SSD to your purchase. So go check our sponsors out because they are absolutely fantastic. So many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die. So many dumb ways to die. Mistake a troll for a wagon in skirmish run. All right, so we've got another story that we're going to talk about here coming from our friends over at Trion Worlds who are unfortunately having a few issues with some changes that have come from their Ascend a Friend program. So Ascend a Friend is the basically invite a friend, get a free month or some sort of reward program that they've had in many different games. You used to get, as the person who invited, a Rex token, a Rift Exchange token, which was good for 1 month of game time, but these were tokens that you could sell in-game on the auction house for in-game gold. So
Just like Plex.
Yeah, exactly. Just like Plex, or a couple of other games too. WildStar does it as well. So there's a couple of games that have this sort of token. WoW does it now, right?
Yeah.
So the problem is that they kind of stealth nerfed the Ascend a Friend program without telling anybody about it. Which caused a huge amount of issue on the forums. And it turns out that one of the members of the Rift team basically forgot to hit post on the post that was written, edited, all ready to go, and didn't hit post. And then the changes were made, the poop hit the fan, and that's what was happening. Basically, what was happening was it was unbalancing the currency. Some people were using the Ascend a Friend program specifically to get the Rex and then using it in game, and it was really unbalancing the economy in the game. Not only that, it was balancing the economy of the game of Rift by flooding the market with Rex, so people did not have to purchase the Rex to get the Rex. Does that make sense? So the idea behind Rex is that somebody buys it, spends real money, and then somebody else can get the game time. In the end, the real money was spent. This was a way that you could get Rex without spending real money. It was unbalancing the financial stability of the game, so they had to change it. I don't necessarily disagree with the change, but I definitely feel bad for the, and I'm not going to mention names here, but it was one of the members of the team. They screwed up and didn't hit the post, and it went out there.
I did find a reasoning.
Oh,
there
go
was
ahead.
this. No, well, there was this explanatory post about the state of the game and about why they made these changes, and I found it a very well reasoned and very solid, and actually almost too obvious. What they're basically saying in that explanation post is, guys, we're a company here. We need to make money. We don't want to nickel and dime you to death, but we do need to provide for ourselves and for our families. So we can do this for 100% free. And I found that bit very interesting because a lot of people kind of expect everything to be completely and utterly free without any and complain if there's any reason to buy stuff like the what's it called, the higher level gear that you have to unlock, the Ascension gear, is it?
Yeah, they basically made it so that there's a little bit of pay to win at the top end of the game now, but it's not
pay to progress.
Pay to progress, exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't mind it that much because you still have to earn the gear. You do have to, if you want to progress to that part, you gotta put in some money. And if you want a strictly free-to-play game, now you gotta accept some limits, right?
Well, I find it completely reasonable that if you have an experience that provides you with dozens and dozens of hours of entertainment, that at a certain point you pay something. I don't find that unreasonable at all.
No. Now,
And this is, I think, one of the underlying things about free to play. And I mean, we've been talking about it, Chris, since Lord of the Rings Online decided to start going in that direction. Is the underlying these games don't pop out of nowhere. There has to be some money somewhere, and a huge percentage. In fact, I would say you could quite easily assume 85 to 93% of all gamers who play free-to-play games just figure that someone will take care of it. Well, that's not what happens. You either pay to support your game and have a successful game that's able to carry on in the long term, or you get pissed off because the game doesn't get updated very much and it gets to be abandonware, and then you quit playing anyway. So, I mean, it's a lose. Free-to-play inherently, when you look at the long term, is a lose-lose situation. It can't work. I don't. This to me is what I've always felt about free to play finally coming to fruition. And there's actually, this isn't the first time that we've seen somebody speaking out about it too. We've had a couple of stories recently about developers saying you can't have my game for free. You need to pay us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm more than happy to pay for stuff. I don't know. It's a very weird thing that people don't want to pay for stuff. I mean, I pay for everything. I mean, I like paying for Netflix or for my Amazon books or my Audible subscription because I think people who make great stuff deserve some recompense. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And there was this period in my life that I was poor, that I didn't have much to spend, so I couldn't buy that. That sucked. But then you get a little older, you get a job, and then you can buy them. And there's nothing wrong with then just getting your credit card and throwing a couple of bucks towards the developers of the game. I just don't understand the rage and the outrage. And if anybody else still uses the word pay to win, I'm going to scream. And I'm going to use words that are never allowed anywhere in any language, because I'm so sick and tired of people whenever they have to pay for something. Oh no, it's pay to win. No, it's just pay. And if you don't want to play, you don't pay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I completely agree. And it's just, I think, part of the free-to-play landscape, unfortunately, is that people feel if you call it free, it should be free all the time. You should get everything, blah, 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 blah. And it should only be cosmetics. And that's, you know what? They need to pay. Anyways, the one interesting thing I wanted to mention that I found was really cool, I guess I hadn't followed Trion closely enough, one of my favorite people on the internet, Brass, whose website I went to many, many a times looking for maps or information about different games, is now a community manager over at Trion. And this is the same Brass that you're thinking of, Brass the Dwarf, back from EQ. And I don't know if you two followed her site as much as I have, but I certainly did for many years. Are either of you there?
I'm there.
Okay.
I have
just
no
keep
idea who
hearing
the dwarf is.
beeps from my Skype calls, so I didn't know if somebody was saying I'm not there. Did either of you follow Brass at all? No. Oh wow.
Nope.
And
Really?
apparently you're not
Not even a little
listening
bit.
to me either, because I was saying I don't know who Brass is. You said, "Are you following Brass?" No, I don't know who he is. How many
She.
times?
She. So yeah,
Don't correct me about something I have admitted that I don't know anything about.
I didn't hear you say that, so I'll throw here in the show notes the old Brass the Dwarf website. There you go. You can look.
But if you're saying Brass Dwarf is a female, how can you tell?
is.
They all have beards.
Look at the picture. You'll be able to tell very quickly. Anyways, so can we move on now? Yes, we can.
If you like.
Good. Quick mentions. Going to jump through this. Hey, guess what? SWTOR is going to add lockboxes in their lockboxes. That's right. For the low, low price of one lockbox key, you can open up a lockbox and get another lockbox.
You know, this dwarf has breasts and a beard.
Moving
Are you
on,
sure it's
because
still a
that's
dwarf?
so
Isn't that a different
interesting.
animal?
Let's move on to the next story, because you're all into the SWTOR one. Here, I'll show for everyone who's in the chat room. I'll show that. Riders of Icarus, riding dragons and other mythical creatures as you fight in the air and on the land. I could go for that. Okay,
Yeah.
Great comments from the Peanut Gallery here.
I was just going to say, you can't
Yeah, I know.
hardly,
that's the-
okay. I was going to say you could hardly go wrong with riding dragons, but then you said it's Nexon, so
yeah, okay.
you
let's
found
move
a
on.
way to go wrong.
And Destiny 2 delayed to 2017. What? And this is according to very reliable sources, and I quote, according to people familiar with goings-on at the studio, always known as the most reliable source.
Translation,
not-
caterers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was cleaning this guy's table, and I saw this napkin there, and if you look at it in the right way, it kind of looked like a 7. So I would say 2017.
Exactly. What you can say, though, is there's... what game is it? Star Wars Battlefront has just recently given their road plan very rough for the next, I think, even 5 or 6 months. There is no such thing for Destiny in any way whatsoever. The only thing that players know right now is, hey, there's going to be a Valentine's Day event, because everyone in Destiny wants a Valentine's Day event.
When I think Destiny, I think love.
Exactly. Right?
But the thing is, Bungie. There was this very interesting article on Kotaku about the making of Destiny, and what basically went wrong, and how they did we wouldn't even call it story, but the things that happened in Destiny 1. The script for that was put together in a few weeks, literally, and in a few months implemented into the game, because they had this whole other lore ready, but it was all scrapped, and basically a big internal train wreck, and explained a lot about the first version of Destiny, which was kind of meh. Great shooter mechanics, awful story experience.
I liked Dinklebot, though, and I actually liked Dinklebot better than the new Ghost voice. And I know that's sacrilege, but
No. It's you can be as wrong as you want to, but it's the thing is, I have the feeling that Destiny is not really what Bungie wanted it to be, and Bungie came away from Halo basically burned out, because they were in the Halo mines, being whipped by Microsoft, forced to produce Halo after Halo, and they didn't want to do that. And I kind of feel like they fell into that same trap with Destiny. I sense, and this is patented MMO reporter wildest speculation.
Oh, good. Let me get the popcorn.
That Bungie just really doesn't want to do more Destiny, and I think the whole 10-year plan is kind of off the table.
Yeah.
I think Activision wants their 10-year plan. I think Bungie is about to say, nope, we want to do something else.
Yeah. They are going to make a competitor for Roller Coaster Tycoon. I don't know if you heard that.
No, I have not heard that. Maybe because it's not true. That would be a
It's wild,
reason.
baseless speculation time. You said that. I continued. All right. We're moving on. Bill, if people want to get a hold of us, how would they do so?
Lots of different ways. They can head over to our website at MMOreporter.com. They can send us an email, mmo.reporter@gmail.com. Visit us over at Facebook, facebook.com/MMO Reporter. You can tweet at any of the MMO reporters, including at MMO_reporter for Chris, at Harry Hall for Harry Hall, and at MMO Bill for yours truly. You can give us a call at 616-666-6778. Leave us a voicemail. Get on the show. This is your chance at fame, if by fame you mean having my mom listen to your voicemail. You can head over to YouTube, youtube.com/MMO Reporter Network, over at Patreon. If you actually like what we're doing here, you feel like throwing a few bucks our way, head over to patreon.com/MMO Reporter. Or if you're not into the whole Patreon type deal, head over to MMOreporter.com/support for some other more instant one-time ways to help us out.
Good job, Bill. Well done. Hey, Harry, thanks so much for taking time away from the great spaghetti monster in the sky and coming and recording with us tonight.
Yeah, ramen to that.
And Bill, as always, an incredibly adorable experience recording with you.
You know, I'm really looking forward to catching some YouTube clips of Harry's performance and see if he's sneaking in any jokes about us. Because I feel like we're just feeding him here.
All we'll hear is something, blah, 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 Dutch, Bill, Dutch, Bill, Dutch, Chris, Dutch. Is that
What's
about
the Dutch word? What's the Dutch word for
Klootsuck.
That doesn't sound like it.
Actually, the interesting thing is, it has the exact same connotation, and the song "You're an Asshole" has been translated by a comedian into "Je bent een klootzak." And klootzak actually means ball sack. So
The immediate neighbor.
it's in so it's in the neighborhood, and the meaning is exactly the same, and you would use it in the same sentence. You're an asshole. Je bent een klootzak. It would be just the same. So you've learned Dutch here.
There we go. All right, we need to go because we are already on the FBI watch list and we don't want to be on any more. Thanks, everyone, for coming out and listening to the show this week. Thanks to our chat room for coming and hanging out with us. Thanks to all of you who listen or view the podcast. We hope that you appreciate and enjoyed this week's show. We hope that you come back for next week's. But most importantly, we hope to see you in game.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every...
Actually, I'm mistaken. The song "You're an Asshole" is translated in "Je bent een eikel," and eikel is also basically the same word as klootzak, but it means, well, the British call it the bell end.
We're getting further, different neighborhood almost now.
Well, it's the same neighborhood, but it's a little bit more. Let's go north. In text adventure terms.
All right.
I need to open the document.
Okay, let's hope the WAV files are
I'm on the right
working.
mic.
I've recorded in WAV. Sure. Do you want to do it at the end before quick mentions? Okay.
Okay.
Can we all check on our end that we're recording properly for Zencastr? I just started it. Good.
I didn't type.
I have got,
typed.
and I'm gonna.
I
I'm gonna
love
tease
the
you now,
raise your
Harry. I
hand
have got
feature, by the way, from
best,
Zencastr.
the best intro for you tonight.
That's only if you're not a host. Other people can just raise their hands to make sure that the host knows. The host can't, but then again, the host can kick. So
I'm waiting for somebody's typing, and somebody said, "Hold on." So, okay, are we ready? Oh, hey! I didn't even notice that.
I want
That's
that
awesome.
Acer Predator so bad, the X-34. Like, I'm starting to think I've got
really
too many
cool.
children, and I could replace...
Yeah, I wish I
You
could.
can sell
I
one.
wonder if I can.
Of course, I'd
triple
never sell one of my children, but, you know, if you
my
hear something, I might be
screen
open to a trade.
well,
I've got an ultra wide screen, right?
you
So
could
I'm doing
actually
good.
maybe you could
I'm
rent
doing
them
okay.
out or lease them or
I'm-
something. You know, you keep ownership, but you get the money.
I've got the BenQ 3501.
Yep, and now we are on the FBI watch list.
Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Don't forget to check out all the other podcasts at MMOreporter.com or by clicking on any of the links here. And please check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MMOreporter. Thanks, everyone, and see you in game.